Those were odd.
Test, test. Yeah, I always wait for it to show on mine. You maybe have a better connection than. Okay, there we go. Okay, folks. Well, we are live with Quantum Leap, and hopefully, I'm gonna just make sure this is the current one. Hopefully, one of them goes through.
Yeah, I see on Facebook.
Okay, okay. Well, welcome to our 11 a.m. segment. There's Corey. Um, we had a little bit of a technical challenge getting on, but we are good to go. And my name is David Kirsten. This is my co-host Cory Nott. We're going to actually talk about getting ready for 2026 with Cory's wife, Gail Nott, who's really an expert in marketing and a lot of the things that Cory does. But I'll let you and Gail talk more about that, Cory, if you don't mind just introducing yourself and telling us about kind of your business and your wife Gail, what her kind of background and expertise is.
Okay, well, I am Cory Knott, and I call myself the partners coach. I work with business partnerships, so two or more people trying to run a business together. They likely already have a relationship outside of the business, and so it's really about helping them have a harmonious business relationship while protecting the one that they already have. Um, Lots of ways I could go into that, but this is actually Gail Beltran Nott is also my business partner and my wife, and we have been together, married 20 years as of just a few weeks ago, mid-October. Um, and yeah, we met in business networking. So I think we've got the gamut of everything related to business and being partners together in many different ways.
Yeah, I know I've learned so much from you guys, and I say that inspired some of the a lot what we do on this show. And you had some great photos from your trip you took last weekend to Hearst Castle. I always look forward to where you go on these special occasions because you have such good taste in trout
Well,
trips
now
and
that
things.
was my writing partner, Scott, not
Oh, okay.
Tim.
You got you did something else for you're going on you guys always go on a lot of cool trips. I'll leave it at
Yes,
that.
Hearst Castle was very bromantic, I guess you could say. No, but no, we're just we. I've always had
Yes,
somebody I ride with,
I'm
and
I'm I'm
it's
a
gonna, yeah.
yeah, I am what's I'm Conhurst, so I have no desire to go there.
Okay, okay, very good. Well, we'll get right to you, Gail, if you don't mind just telling us about your story and what you do. I know it's been a little while since you've been on the broadcast, and we've done a
Sure.
similar segment before, but I look forward to our new approach today, if you don't mind getting into
Yeah.
that too.
And my business has changed probably since the last time we talked. I'm not sure if you know what I'm doing now. Uh, I started in my marketing business 20 years ago. I'm losing track. About 15 years ago. Because it was after I met Cory. And I started as a social media manager, social media strategist. I had an agency for a little while. And then Cory and I became business coaches with a previous business partner, started our own, left that company, started our own coaching business. And since then, Cory and I have kind of, we're still technically in the business together, but we have different specialties, different specializations. I've gone back into marketing and gone back into social media. I actually never really left social media, I never really left marketing, but I'm focused more on that. In particular, my favorite thing about marketing is helping business owners who have a message, who have something they want to share. Maybe they're writers or speakers. So I'm helping them both with their content strategy of how to put that message together in a way that attracts their ideal clients as well as makes an impact in the world. And then for a few select people, I can also be their social media manager. Just because of time limitation, and I'm not looking to build an agency again. I just work with a handful of people personally. But I'm putting more effort next year into a group program through Substack. So if someone would like my support, there's a solo business owner and they would still like to learn about content strategy and have the accountability to get their writing and social media done, they can join me over on Substack under Impact Messaging Lab.
I need that. David, I think you're muted, or we can't hear you. Mm-mm.
This,
Oh, there you
There
go.
you go.
oh, was that,
We can hear you now.
okay, test. Okay. Okay. I was just asking if you have a Substack, Cory, because I know that's a great way for solopreneurs to kind of get going with. You guys are such ideas people that you have a lot to share on Substack, as I've seen from your platforms.
I probably should. I probably need something on my other style of coaching that I haven't
Yeah,
really
I think
watched yet.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking is for I think LinkedIn would be the better focus for Cory for the partnership coaching, but Cory's also working on something new. He's actually going to debut a little bit of it at the end of December, but I agree with David, Substack would be the better platform for writing about this new offering that's coming, that's brewing.
Yeah, yeah, I'll try to include your Substack too, because I think that's like a fairly new and the people who are utilizing that in terms of the exposure I've seen. So I like the fact that you can maybe coach people on how to do that or what makes sense, what might make sense. Because oftentimes when people go it alone, maybe they'd leave out LinkedIn, even though, as an expert, you would say kind of where to get started. So there's just so many people who need this service. I think that I find, as you know, in our spheres. How would you say? Um, Now, I'm curious about your new approach about aligning business priorities to business cycles. And we chatted a little bit about this over email, and I just love this approach. If you don't mind just telling us about that and how it differs from maybe your previous approach.
Right. I learned this idea from a friend of mine, Lori Soleil, and she had told me she doesn't do New Year's goals or resolutions. She does that more in the springtime because that's the energy for that season. Whereas winter is about hibernation, reflection, rest. And it just made so much sense to me because I've always been just exhausted by that last week of the year in between Christmas and New Year's. And I don't want to work. I don't want to do anything, which is fine. It's a great time to rest. But what she was suggesting was also to ease into January versus going busting through. And I think maybe that's why some people feel like, okay, I'm going to do all this stuff and start in January, and then February comes along and they haven't started anything yet. I'm learning more about working with my own personal energy flows, as well as balancing that with our daughters. So our daughters' energy flow. um, so I'm realizing that if I'm feeling high energy, I can get a lot of stuff done. If I feel like I need to slow down and rest, to rest. And I don't exactly have set days. Okay, I'm going to rest on these on the weekend, for example. If I feel high energy on the weekend, I'm gonna work. But if I need to rest, then I'll rest. So it's just balancing that. Not really set on specific days, just trying to be more in tune with my own energy. But there are people who go by the seasons. There are some people who go by moon cycles. Like my recommendation for people is to go with what works for you. And if you've felt like you had to push through December and push through January, then maybe a more seasonal approach would be appropriate, where December is more of reflection, review, rest, which is great. Everyone should be doing that anyway. See how the past year has gone. And then with January, kind of ease into January, maintain the business you have, work on your systems, improving your systems, declutter stuff. And then as the weather warms up, February, March, at least for those of us in the Northern Hemisphere, for those of us when it starts warming up, that's when we can look into launching something in the springtime.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I just say from my own experience, being a marketer, not everybody's really looking to buy to buy breaking down your door in January after spending
Exactly.
all the money on gifts and things. So I do find as a video person, a lot of people get started on trying to revamp for 2026 ahead of January, but that often takes a lot longer than they think because they get going on one thing, they realize they need other things. So I do like that, being ready for spring. And so it's a nice approach. And last question I had before I turn it over to Cory, about what recommendations would you have for people who want to make a change in 2026? Maybe somebody's starting a new business, or stuff they're doing they feel like isn't working. Maybe they are burnt out. They need to
Mhm.
take a few weeks off or a month off to regroup, because you're not going to generate a lot of business over the holidays in most classes. How should those people kind of regroup or kickstart in 2026? Yeah.
Right. There are I think two simple questions, maybe three, but two come to mind right now, of taking a pause and to reflect what's going on. One is, what's not working, and be really honest with themselves. Like, for example, I'm supposed to go to all these networking events, or I'm supposed to do all this follow-up and I'm not doing it. So there's some sort of resistance there. So that's not working. Then what would you want more of? Is it, I want to go to less of these events? I want to go to events that are more online. I want to just go to ones where I meet people in my industry or my contact sphere already. Is it I'm traveling too far? Like, what is it that you do want instead? If it's a lack of follow-up, then it's, what do I want instead? I want someone else to follow up for me. I want them to just book with me. I don't want to have to chase people down. So once you start figuring out what's not working, what you want instead, then you could look at, who can help me with this? Because we don't have to have, sorry, the parents are getting really excited with me talking. We don't have to have all the answers. And I think that's another place where small business owners get stuck, is thinking that they have to figure out themselves. They can use AI. They can train AI to be their business consultant or business coach and say, here's my situation. If you were a business coach who specialized in helping a marketer with a small agency who wants to do this, what would you advise? And then you can look at it with your critical eye and just say, okay, is that on point? But never feel like you have to do anything, whether it's AI telling you that, or even a consultant or a coach. Coaches shouldn't be telling you what to do anyway, but a consultant telling you to do, you got to check in with you and just say, is that going to work for me? And if not, what can we do instead? And again, we don't have all the answers, but someone knows what's working for them. Whether you do a search, you ask AI, you ask your business coach or consultant, ask someone in your industry, but someone's got an answer that might solve your problem.
Okay, great. I'm gonna turn it over to Cory.
All right. Well, as we always like to ask on this podcast, what is your why?
My why.
We know Gail will be prepared because we've done this many times. So,
and I have multiple whys, and
yeah.
I think people have multiple whys too.
Mhm.
That exercise, I think sometimes people feel like they have to have the why. I think there's multiple whys.
Yep.
Which is great for storytelling too, by the way, if people are working on their content and their writing. so my multiple whys. One is to make this a better world for the next generation. Even before we had our daughter, I just always felt like I want this place to be better for my nieces. And before that, I want this world to be a better place for children, for the next generation. An aspect of that, and more specifically with my business, is I want people who have a message to share to feel confident to be able to share that and be heard. I think there are so many people out there with great ideas who are shut down either because of culture or because of shyness or because of past trauma from speaking up, which hasn't been processed or healed yet. But I would love it. I mean, and I love this too. Whenever I help one person be able to share their message, be able to share their story, I believe all of us can learn from each other if we are open to not just supporting people in speaking up and sharing their message, but also in hearing them and considering them.
Yeah. And I agree. We all have different whys. I've got a new one for my partnership thing, but it's always an evolution too, right? Over time. But I think, as always said, one is it just helps connect people, and two, well, many people don't really have their deeper sense of connection to what it is they're doing or who it is they're serving, right? There's so many different ways to look at that. So, well, what are some considerations for business owners who want to start a podcast? Sometimes it seems like people come across so polished and ready, and then it can seem very daunting.
Yes. And what I do like about podcasts, especially video podcasts, is that they're longer. Obviously, they can be longer. They don't have to be longer, but they're generally longer. They're more evergreen. With a social media post, it could disappear even the next hour, let alone day. But with longer pieces of content, like writing articles or doing a podcast, people have a better chance or a better opportunity to get to know you better, and how they can develop this relationship with you and your work by you putting out this content out there. The tricky thing with podcasts, and I have an issue with this as well, is consistency. Most people expect a podcast to be weekly. What I like about what you and David do is that you do it seasonally as well. So you'll do it weekly for a season, and then you take some time off, and then you go back in. I think that's a great way to handle the rigorous schedule of a podcast. So that is a great way to do it. Some other things to consider. Oh, we lost David. Some other things, but it's still recording, still live. Other things to consider with a podcast is the tech setup. Yeah. David has a great setup here because it's very easy to maintain. You could just have Zoom goes live, or you could do Zoom recording. If you don't do any editing, if you just go straight into the broadcast, then you don't have to do any editing at all. So that's another thing to consider, is the tech setup. When people see or hear the more advanced podcasts, they may compare themselves and may be a little hesitant to do it. Right. I say just go for it. Start messy, do it, because the more you speak and the more you do it, the better it'll become. And you can always hire people. I know David does editing as well. So you could always hire people to help you with the tech setup, to help you with the editing if you want it edited, and be able to broadcast it. There's podcast syndication networks, and you put it there, and it will send out your podcast to Spotify and Apple Podcasts and all the other platforms out there. The other thing for a podcast, the video portion, the camera, it's nice to have a good camera. I have a 4K camera. I think 4K is too much. It's like, I don't need to see that much detail in my face.
The hairs.
But I do have I do have a 4K camera. At least have an HD camera. If not, it's okay. Have good lighting. But the most important thing with the podcast is a good mic. So having a real mic. This is a USB mic. There are other mics you can get out there, but having a separate mic is really important. What's nice with editing tools, and your editor can do this, or you can learn, if you are a tech person, you can learn this too. All of the video software out there now has automatic audio leveling AI in it. So you click a button and it will smooth out your sound, which is great. So I use that all the time because I have no idea what I'm doing when it comes to audio. But I can consider. Oh, and see if you can think of a specific topic or niche for your podcast, and that will help it stand out. I've got more suggestions too, but those are my top ones. Have a good night. Get into a rhythm, or do it seasonally, and get tech support if you need tech support.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, and just something else that just kind of comes to mind too is sometimes you don't have to call it a podcast, right? If you think of it as like a podcast that has a very specific tool, but I mean, there's some things that people do. They're like, if you're just doing it live, it can just be I'm just doing a LinkedIn live. Some people do that every week, or it can be I'm just going to do my fireside chat.
Yeah,
or,
yeah.
just,
I have a tech mentor. Yeah, yeah. I have a tech mentor who mentors on and consults on using YouTube and other technology to grow your business. And she did start with making YouTube videos, but now she's at the point where she's only doing live streams. So she live streams every week, and she presents it as a show. And then when she has a webinar, it's a live stream as well. You still opt in, but she live streams it. And I think she just keeps it unlisted if they didn't sign up officially with their email address.
and if it's less formal, I actually saw one just recently. There's an organization I belong to where they have like a weekly, I wouldn't call it a podcast, it's like a fireside chat. And then a group of people affiliated with that are doing like an afterwards talk. And they just, anybody can come on Zoom and have a, discussion, and it gets broadcast. And so, you have to be a little careful, that you don't start any arguments or anything. But I was just thinking that can also be a good way to sort of, get loose and talk about some sort of subject that, you can invite people just to join you, and whether they come or not.
And it's a specific topic. So it's going to attract the people who are interested in that topic. I've joined a couple of book clubs, and the large ones that has thousands of members, they live stream on YouTube for the book club meeting. And they have a panel. Sometimes they have the author on as well, but it's a panel of the hosts. And then all of us members are just chatting and then putting in our 2 cents.
Oh, just a time check that we're right at about time, but we have another minute here, and then we can.
Oh boy, yeah, we
always do a part 2 with you, Gail. I know you raised a lot of things that we could definitely talk more about next year. So
yeah, we should do that.
Definitely. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Did you want to ask that last question, Cory? Then we can wrap
Yeah.
up.
So who are you looking to connect with in 2026?
Ooh, who am I looking to connect with in 2026? It's a great question. I have been joining online networks because we homeschool our daughter and we're home most of the time. Online networking is more doable for me than in person. So I'm looking for online networks, particularly of business women who are doing things like podcasting and going on YouTube, using online marketing. I appreciate those kinds of connections. And I'll be looking for opportunities to guest on more podcasts.
Great. Well, we can tell you're a seasoned podcaster just by how you present on here. So thanks for coming on to share all your insights, and we'll definitely coordinate another show next year sometime. And Cory and I do hibernate over December and January, true to form. We didn't always do that, but it's so important to rest too and have breaks. So we appreciate that.
Definitely.
But yeah, I will, folks, if you do have questions, for Gail or about doing marketing or I will put her email and website in the comments, and we're going to wrap up this segment because we have the ripple effect coming up. So thanks for joining us, everyone, and we'll see you next time.